Welcome to No Ideas Original Podcast featuring Shannon, Mr. Rob, and Zane. Rob had to step out. He couldn't join us for this one, but this should be a really good interview, yo. We're blessed to have New York Police Department Officer Javarro Long join us today for a discussion. And, yo, what's up, Daryl? It's hard
What's
for
up,
me to...
player?
Oh, what's up, Daryl?
What's up, man? Everything's good?
Yeah, man. Everything is blessed. Yo, just to give people some background information. So,
Yes, sir.
me and Javarro was neighbors for probably 20 years, 1215 Union Avenue, 168th Street. I lived in 2D. He lived in 2C. Him, his mom, two sisters, brother. You know,
Yeah.
we grew up in the hood together, man. It's good to see you doing wonderful things, man.
Wait, so hold on, real quick. Shy.
Yeah.
I remember I used to come down several times throughout the summer, right? When you get off the elevator and make that right, was he on the left or the right of your residence?
When you get off the elevator, you make the right, and my door is in the corner, and you make the left. His door is in the corner.
Okay,
so I'm on one side of the side of the trash compactor. I was on the right side. He was on the left side.
I remember.
It's beautiful to see, you brothers doing wonderful things with your life. I was telling you off camera too that it was always tears in the hood. It was like my age group, then you and my younger brother's age group. Shout out to Green. But it's just see all your cats doing positive things, man. It's amazing, especially where we come from.
Yeah, it's a blessing because I always like to use this word epitome. It's like you're an example of your product. So for people to see where you came from, I wasn't a bad kid. I just did bad things. You know what I'm saying? But
you ain't do bad things. You do bad things.
I don't know. I always did like devilish shit, like little kid stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's all. All.
Yeah. Now you always watching you grow up though, man. You always had potential. You was always a leader, and that's why when I found out that you was an officer, I'm like, yo, that's a natural fit for you. Growing up, I didn't see you becoming a police officer, but now seeing you as a police officer with your leadership skills, it's a really good fit for you, man. You're in the right profession.
I appreciate that. I didn't think that I was going to be a cop either. One of the things that kind of influenced it was just, your environment and the things that you've been around and things that you came up in. So in the back of my mind, it was always there. But I remember having this conversation with my grandfather as a kid. He set me and my cousin on the bed and he said, "What do y'all want to be?" My cousin said, "A firefighter." I said, "A police officer." And I said, I didn't want to be a firefighter because I didn't want to burn up in a fire.
Right.
But then, you speaking, and we had videotape of that. I don't know where it was, but I still remember it to this day. But just the fact of but I always love helping people because of the stuff that I seen and growing up and around. So, it was a natural thing for me to want to do that. I just looked at it as a way. I couldn't be a rapper my whole life and not provide for my family. So I looked at being a police officer, one, being influential, and then setting up myself for the future. So I always thought about the future, even when I was doing music and stuff,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I had you pegged for. I thought you would have did something in the entertainment industry.
But the good thing is that, it all flows into fruition because I went on from, I was the kid, I had the whole block shut down doing the music video and all that. I was touring with the barrier boys, I had dudes coming from other blocks coming to battle me. But I really wasn't a battle rapper. I was like one of them smooth LL Nas kind of rappers that just wanted to get my point across. I always had a story in my message when I rap. So that was like my thing, I remember the photo shoot on the block. I remember the video in Rakesh's house, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, it was a lot of things that I had the door open for me. And the good thing is I had different people around me that influenced me. I remember recording in Grandmaster Flash Studio. I remember the day walking up into Def Jam, meeting with the president. I interned at Jive Records. I was there the day PD Pablo got signed. I used to work with Chris slightly. So I was that kid listening to the demo tapes and all that stuff like that. So, yeah, man. Yeah. So, I had the pleasure of being in there, seeing how the A&R work, knowing the difference, A&R, artists and repertoire and what their full function is and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So, I was blessed. And then I went on and dated Stevie Wonder's daughter, and I got cool with him too.
Get out of here, yo.
Yeah,
What?
man. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like how you
A
snuck
lot of
that
people,
in there.
Stevie Wonder's daughter?
yeah, man. A lot of people hate when I, you know, it's funny. No matter who you with, no girl want to hear, oh, you used to date Stevie Wonder's daughter, because it's like the highlight reel, you know. But every situation,
Yeah.
I look at everybody as everybody. You know what I'm saying? I used to hang, but it's a blessing. You know what I'm saying? It was a good look. I used to hang out with George Clooney, Barbara Walters. You know what I'm saying? It was. I remember being in Atlantic City watching them perform or standing backstage at the Apollo with Al Sharpton, watching Stevie
Mm.
Wonder on stage. You know what I'm saying? So these are memories. It's like memorabilia. Nobody can erase that from you. You know what I'm saying?
That's a
I tell
fact.
you
What,
what, brother, man.
what's up?
Shout out to Stevie Wonder. Shout out to George Clooney. Because George Clooney got a great, I think it's either a vodka or a tequila that's out. I don't know if
Tequila.
you tried
Mm-hmm.
it yet, but it's excellent. It's excellent.
Nah, I drink water.
Man, yo, so how long you been on the police force now?
16 and a half, 16 years and in a couple of days it'll be 5 months. So
Wow.
January 10th of next year will be my 17th year, and then I have officially 3 years left if I
Damn.
want to retire. So I
To max
always look
out.
at
Yeah.
it. I started out working in an office job, actually a parking garage. My mentor, Craig Harwood, he owned, him and his family owned Shea Stadium parking. They owned the Madison Square Garden parking. So I had, again, it was always people around me that believed in my potential and became my mentor. And,
Mhm.
he helped me graduate high school, put me in college. And, he's been in my life since I was 15. So you're talking 20 plus years of a relationship. And this is an individual, that taught me how to sit at the table, how to eat. He introduced me to stocks and stuff like that. So,
Mm.
he's a philanthropic, he's a screenwriter, he's a movie director. And, so he changed my life. He was just one of the epitomizing people that came into my life that I was lucky. I remember when he first came to the block and my boy Malcolm was in his house. We was outside. I'm like, yo, won't you come to the meeting? He's like, I don't know who that white dude is, but he didn't want to get he didn't want to get in the car to go downtown. But I was lucky enough to get it. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And he changed my life. Then I went on to speak at Tavern on the Green, got an award from David Dinkins. I stood in front of Bank of America, Citibank, and all these other financial groups supporting the organization, which is called Unlocking Futures, that changed my life. It's a mentoring organization. So while I was running back and forth on the block, I was in a mentoring program that pretty much changed my life, that set the way for me to be where I am today.
Yeah, that's dope.
So those are some of the things that, that changed my life. And, when
Speaking
you're
of
around
part,
good people and people, yeah, I'm sorry.
nah, go ahead, brother, go ahead.
When you're around good people and you still battle those demons, because some people take it as arrogance and cocky, but I always say, where I came from, if you didn't have that chip on your shoulder, you could have succumbed to anything.
Yeah,
So that
yeah.
was part of my repertoire. I was that kid. It's like you said, yo, brother, I appreciate the tracksuit, but I remember when I couldn't afford that. I was watching Shannon and his brothers with every Nintendo game, and you know what I'm saying. I remember,
Mm.
and Shannon could attest to this. I remember Kareem, Shannon's best friend,
Mhm.
My
introduced me.
cousin,
He's
yeah.
like, yo, I just saved up a G, D. I'm like, you said, what's a G? And he was like, $1,000. I didn't know what $1,000
Mm.
was. You know what I'm saying? He was the first
Yeah,
one that told
man.
me what $1,000 was. So, little things like that you remember, you don't forget.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
way back when you was going through that transition,
Mhm.
was there like a specific person that gave you the tutelage in order for you to transition your mind state to see the bigger picture?
Everybody, man. If it was somebody around me that said, yo, you're going to be something, if it was somebody
Mm.
around me, you know what I'm saying, you're a handsome little boy or whatever, anybody that said something positive to me, I just took that and ran with it.
Mm. Right.
Anybody, because that's what you do. I remember, coming home from the studio. Actually, it was Grandmaster Flash's studio, and my mom, she used to drink a lot, and I remember coming, and my mom was intoxicated, and I was so pissed off. But my manager looked over at me. He said, "You know what you're doing? You're in the process of breaking the cycle." I didn't get that,
Mm.
but I got it as I grew, because he said you're in the process of breaking the cycle. So you be like, what is that? What cycle are you breaking? But you had to be there to believe it, and I broke the cycle.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Since you've been, I guess, involved with policing, and I look at your Instagram and I see, man, you're doing amazing things as a police officer. You're doing things that people probably don't envision police officers doing. So I'm wondering, since you've been on the force, have you noticed that there's been a shift and more emphasis placed on community relationships?
Absolutely, because that's where the change happens. It has to start from within and work its way out. Just being in law enforcement, and I'm speaking on, on my behalf of it, not the whole, police force, is has to. You're not going to save everybody. You're not going to influence everybody. But as as you noticed it, other people notice it too.
Hmm. Yeah.
So it comes with change, and as long as people see it, what I'm saying, that they will respect it and appreciate it. And just being able to do the music and DJ and do all the things that I'm doing, I love it. When I'm setting up and people are seeing that or seeing me spinning music or playing that old school music, just because of what I learned and what I've been around, that's dope.
So
Yeah.
speaking upon the hip hop influence in your life, right? Can you give us
hmm
a top five that was an inspiration to you as far as the picking up the pen?
Uh, I would always
It could
say,
be
like,
it could be current or back in the day, whatever it is.
it was always like Big Daddy Kane. I like Jay-Z. I like Nas. I grew to love Biggie because Tupac was always my favorite. I remember back in '92, again, my man Malcolm, when I came back from DC, he was like, "Yo, you heard Craig Mack?" I'm like, Who's Craig Mack?" You know what I'm saying? Like, who's that? And then when I played Flavor in Your Ear, I loved it. But I was more so like, who was out at that time? It was a song. It wasn't CL Smooth because '92 was a big era for hip hop. But it's definitely, CL
Was it a
P Rock and
solo
CL
artist
Smooth.
or a group you referring to?
It was, tag. You caught me with that. But I would say
Mm.
Jay Z, Nas, Tupac, um, P Rock, CL Smooth. I'm an old school dude. I like the new
Yeah,
school, but
yeah.
then anytime I'm DJing, you're gonna hear it. You're gonna see me play Al Green, switch it up, play Luther Vandross, switch
Right,
it up, Diana Ross, then go
right.
and play something from the Jackson Five or something like that. Or what's that? Bobby Womack. What's this guy's name? If you think you love me lonely now, wait
You
until
know?
tonight.
Feel
Uh-huh.
lonely now, right?
Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I've been doing
You
all
know,
that because
You
so
get.
being
Is this an initiative that you took upon yourself, or this is something that the department supported you with?
so here's the thing. We were doing a lot of different events in the park. And in light of everything that's going on and to be a part of change, I'm like, we planning these events and we're trying to interact with the community. But I noticed when we was going to the park, we didn't have no sounds. So it's like I rap, I DJ. So I just took my own money and I bought the speakers, I bought my own generator, and voila. See, here's the thing in life, right? Nobody's gonna come looking for you. It's like if you're a dope MC, how I got into a lot of the music stuff, I was always at every talent show. I was always at every seminar. I would talk my way in. And so I went and I bought my own equipment. So it looks cool seeing a cop in uniform DJing in the park and he knows
Mhm.
his music. I had a guy tell
mm,
me, he was like, do you DJ or you just play music? I said, listen, a DJ that scratches is not a DJ. A DJ has to know music, and I know music, so go have a seat. But it was all in the joke.
well, I tell you what, brother, man. Being that you brought up the DJ and scratching and stuff like that, you know, a lot of
Yeah,
producers or
right.
prior DJs and still active DJs. Like, do you have a top
Mhm.
three as far as for beat makers?
Uh, I love Kanye West. I thought you were gonna ask me about DJs. I was gonna say, you always gotta go with
Both,
that doo
both.
that you gotta go with that doo-wop tape because that was classic. Ron G, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? That SNS joint. I remember doing a talent show at SNS and they beat me because they was
Ron
repping
G was
Harlem World.
actually
Yeah.
our first interview ever
Mm,
last year. Yeah,
Yeah.
Ron. Well,
okay,
not our first,
okay.
but the first celebrity. I put it
Right,
that way.
right.
Now
That's
go ahead,
dope,
go
man.
ahead.
Yeah. Um, I love Kanye West beats. I love Just Blaze. Um, who else? Who else? Pete Rock does some dope beats. DJ Premier, you gotta name him. Uh, I don't know. I'm blank on that one for a little bit right now. But there's
What
some when
about
you hear
Large
it.
Pro? What about Large
Lost
Pro?
Professor. See, boom. That was one of the tapes that I used to bump. Lost
Okay.
Professor, was it Positive K? All them joints. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Lost Professor was the joint. Yeah. And you know who I really love? Chubb Rock. Treat him right. That was Chubb Rock on the scene, Lenny Green, and pocket full of green. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And
he's
Bismarck
definitely
B.
underrated lyricist. He's definitely
Yeah,
underrated.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So a lot of
Man,
people when they listen,
good. Finish what you're saying.
nah, I said so when a lot of people talk about the new rappers and stuff, and all, I'm not one of those guys because even though I'm old school, I'm still new school too. So I bump everything, but I just
Mhm.
gravitate towards what I know as far as the old school. Like you'll see me DJing playing James Brown, the Big Payback, because that beat is hard.
Mhm.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
so I
Man,
go all over, honestly, I go all over the place. And now when you're DJing, you gotta have like the versatility. So it's like you gotta play the Spanish, you gotta play the reggaeton. You know
mhm.
what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Yeah. Man, I had the pleasure of working for an organization. They had created a program called YPI, Youth Police Initiative. This was some years ago, and the sole purpose of the program was me and somebody else as the facilitators. We would go in and we would have a 3-day meeting with teenagers in the community and police officers. And the premise of it was just making sure that teenagers had an understanding of what police officers' responsibility were, and police officers had an opportunity to interact with the teenagers in a manner that was a non-threatening manner. And it really yielded some success. Like we would do pre and post surveys about the teens' attitudes towards police. But one of the
It's
things that I noticed, because we would do it in Mount Vernon, is that we would get the same police officers over and over signing up to participate in it. And that kind of clicked for me and told me like the people that we have coming in to interact with the kids are not really the people that we need to have in there. We need to have the people that have this bias against interacting with the kids and to hopefully try to evoke some change. So I'm wondering, are you guys doing anything like that at the police department now?
you. I know from what you're saying is it sounded like it was scripted, but
It,
yeah, yeah, yeah. But they doing it. They mixing it up, and that was one of the things that the Reverend talked about in Harlem was, don't send the officers that is going to answer the questions the right way. Send many officers, that's going to get caught off guard with it, and I like that. And they are starting that back. YPA, it's called YPA. You said YPI, so back then it
yeah,
was probably YPI, but now it's YPA. So that transformation is happening right now as we speak. Absolutely.
nice. Yeah, that was like one of the programs. I really thought that was a dope program. And we did it in Mount Vernon, we did it in Yonkers, we did it in Spring Valley, we did it in Portchester. We were doing it everywhere where we believed that there was a huge influx of kids of color, and there were
Absolutely.
officers that weren't necessarily officers of color, with the intentions
Yes.
of bridging the gap and helping a relationship. Some of it, for the most part, were well, but like I said, the hindrance that we have is that we would get the same officers wanting to volunteer to sign up to participate in it. From your perspective, do you guys is it mandatory that they ask officers to participate in these particular trainings, or is all that stuff is
No,
voluntary?
it's volunteer. Again, speaking on my behalf and how I see it from what I do is it's officers that you engage in that want to be there, that want to and sometimes you want the officers that do not have that experience or interacting with the community, but nothing is forced, man. It's all volunteer. From where I see it, it's all
Mhm.
volunteer, and you want to be around people that don't have to be pushed to do something that they love. It was a famous quote that Eric Thomas said. He said, "When you are doing what you love without getting paid, then you'll be successful. But if I gotta pay you to do what you love, you'll never be successful."
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
that comes from that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
go ahead. Finish saying what you're saying.
So I'm working on a lot. My cousin's a doctor in Peoria, Chicago. I just found out, and he helped get the mayor elected, and he's on the board of directors at Morehouse College. So he called me with a kid that was undecided about what he wanted to do with his life, and he thought that the conversation with me would help influence that.
Hmm.
So I got invited to actually go out to Chicago and talk to the mayor as far as what we're doing here and as far as the organizations. But it's not organizations because here's the thing: I've been doing this my whole life, so it has nothing to do about just law enforcement. That passion, that drive comes from what I've been through, so it's in me. So showing up to work, and doing it like with my eyes closed, it comes with hate.
Yeah. Hey, well, I was just about to say that. And
Yes,
how do you
yeah.
deal with that? How do you deal with that?
You know, just a lot of things. I listen to a lot of motivational speakers, and then I got good people around me. So when I feel down or I feel like somebody knocked me off my focus, or like why would they hate on me? Like I wouldn't hurt a fly. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's no I ain't seen, but it'll look like you running with it by yourself. But my thing. My favorite concept is this: there's a lot of people you could bring to the meeting. They could drive you. They could sit in the driver's seat, passenger seat, walk up in the elevator with you. As soon as you get in that hole, you're like, yo, wait right here. I'm gonna go in there and have this meeting. When I get out, I'm gonna tell you what I had the meeting about. Because not a lot of people are meant to sit at the table with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a fact. So
Yeah.
look. So how do you deal with the hate if you get it on both sides? So you may get the hate from your colleagues, but then having to deal with potential hate from the community. How do you work
You
through
know
that?
what? As TD said, you can never look like what you're going through. And I'm a self-motivated individual, so it's like I'm human like anybody else, but I just keep doing it more. It's like somebody that's trying to punk you. It's like, all right, cool, keep doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same. It's the same way I use that word. All right, keep doing it. I'm keep shining. Like it's not cockiness. My light is always going to shine, and I was destined for this and something greater.
Mm-hmm.
People don't want to hear you
Now,
talk like that.
Not at all.
now, I know one of the major things that is a catalyst out there as far as crime and stuff in Chicago or any high volume,
Right,
even the small towns that we
right,
don't even know about is gang violence. What do
right.
you see is the main difference between the stuff that goes on out in Chicago and the stuff that goes on in New York and LA? And do you feel that there's well, I'm sure they are, but can you educate the viewers on the programs that they have available, if any?
Um, well, from what I do, without saying any names, it's
Mm-hmm.
we got an organization that we're starting. It's called Options. So it
Mm-hmm.
allows young people ages 13 and up to learn skills and earn a stipend, whether it be photography, computer programming. So this the new things that are it's developed, but to spread it out across, it's in the process of that happening. So we're just developing things that the community needs or what the youth need. So based on what that youth wants, we'll work on it and try to develop it and get it out there.
Right.
Um, you know, like even with podcasts or technology, web design. So these are some of the things that we're behind it, but we're allowing the youth to run it. But
Good.
most importantly is staying consistent and just being an ear, being a mentor. Sometimes you can shoot hoop all day long, but you can practice. But what happens when you miss? You gotta have something else that you can go towards.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to be that guy, that influence, because it was done for me, and I want to give it back to individuals that otherwise don't have it, and I can relate because I'm a product of my environment.
Yeah.
The
I
second
wonder
question.
with last year with everything with COVID going on and there was no summer youth. Um, did you think that had like a profound impact on kids in the inner city with there being no summer youth program last year?
Yeah, slightly. Everybody improv based on everything that was going on. It was all about improvisation because you had to find something else to do with the hoops being taken down or nowhere to play. So you started finding other things to do. But it definitely impacted. It impacted everybody. Across the board. So everybody just had to improvise.
Yeah, I just asked that because I feel like that when you have a young person engaged in activities, especially activities that they can get compensated for, like it really helps prevent them from getting into trouble.
It's another vehicle of motivation to stir
Hmm.
them in a different direction. As long as they commit, they'll see the benefit from it.
For sure.
Now, based upon a lot of the stuff that's going on out here, with you got adults getting gunned down, you have children getting gunned down. I was doing some research, and they have this company. I don't know if you're familiar with them or not. It's called Rap Technologies. And with
No.
Rap Technologies, instead of an officer shooting out a bullet or a rubber bullet, they have this device that shoots out a cable to apprehend whomever they feel that they need to apprehend.
Really?
Now with that going on, do you think that that's something uh that the police department universally, not just in in the U.S. but overall, like in the world, would incorporate?
I, you know, if it's successful and it decreases the likelihood of people that are dying that should not die, then absolutely. I think anything that's less lethal that should
Right.
happen. Anything that can be implemented to to decrease that. Danger is still danger, no matter how you spin it. But it's just like having a taser. You know, learning to use that. It's a non device, but it's on a case by case basis. But just having that tool accessible, yeah. I always say this, right? If you create an option, you have a choice. But if you don't create it, you don't have one.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, from a police officer's perspective, what was your thoughts on the whole George Floyd tragedy?
It was unfortunate. It was something that shouldn't happen. It was something that could have been prevented. That's just like a fight with your friends. Like, nah, man, you're gonna hurt them or you're gonna kill them. That wasn't your intention. Your intention, but it looked that way. And when certain things happen, now you got to deal with the consequences. And here we are today.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing I will ask you also is I'm sure you've seen a video of Micaiah Bryant with the police officer and everybody saying, well, how come you didn't try to disarm her with the knife and everything? Like, can you walk us through as a police officer, you come on the scene, like how does that play out in your head? Because we seeing the replay, the tape of it, and we looking at it, we dissecting it. But I would imagine from a police officer's perspective, you literally have a couple of seconds to make a judgment call.
Absolutely. From my perspective, when I saw the video at home, I was instantly thinking like there was a couple of seconds in there on a judgment call to say, instead of pulling my gun, let me taser. Some people say I would shoot. She had a knife. She had a knife. But you've seen tons of videos. Me personally, as a regular person, not even in law enforcement, it's like, all right, grab her, tackle her, something in that miss. Yeah, you're putting yourself in harm's way. But you're putting yourself in harm's way every day. But just jumping out the vehicle was a little bit, what I'm saying? It was right there. It was just that moment that you could have just, for a second, you could have tased. I don't know. You just could have tased. Or even
Yeah.
if a shot was let off, it didn't have to be that many.
4 shot, right? It was like 4 shots, right?
Yeah, it didn't have to be, in my opinion, it didn't have to be that many.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, how often, like when you have tragedies such as that and numerous other tragedies that happen, and when it comes to the interaction with police and people in the public, how often do the force incorporate or train other officers to react in a certain way, to where the antecedent can be something totally different than from pulling out their gun and stuff like that?
Training is training. All of that's the bulk of your question is in that individual. You know, you can go to you could teach me to lift weights every day, but if I go home and drink beer, eat burgers, and show up with a fat stomach, you like yo.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's you get the analogy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So it's like you can give somebody the tools, but it's up to them to use it.
yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, that's just the way it is in life, right? Theory and practice. Like you have some people that are wonderful. I'm sure they're wonderful. The university says that they're a great doctor, but when it comes to actually working with people, it says something completely different.
Yeah, it's like when I want to get plastic surgery, right? Dr. Miami or any other doctor that's hidden somewhere in DR. He's a great doctor, success rate. But that one time he slips up, you're like, oh, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's no matter how much you practice, no one could ever tell you, hey, your booty gonna look right.
Right. Now, Scott, bring up. It was something you brought up several times to our other episodes. Talk about that
Oh, the insurance?
proposed, the insurance premium for
Yeah,
police
so
officers.
this is one of the things that I thought about, and I don't know if this is something they talk to you guys about at the police department, but one of the things I was thinking about that would probably help to reduce some of these incidents is if they made police officers have their own personal insurance to be police officers. So if
I
you
mean,
if you found neglectful or something like that, rather than people suing the city or the municipality, they sue your insurance and your rate skyrockets. After a while, officers who weren't thinking before they did these different actions, their premiums be so high, they'd be uninsurable, and that would probably get them off the force.
So what they came up with and what has came out was no immunity. So it's something similar to what you're saying that was passed that did come out, yeah. And I always say that even with the body cameras, the only people that care about that is the people that constantly get in trouble.
Yep.
If you're doing your job right and you're policing with an effectiveness and a care for the community, you don't have to worry about that. Yeah, people want to bait you in because remember, you're guilty by who you associated with. It's no police department from you hanging out on a corner with 5 or 10 friends, but your man robbed him, but your man shot him. That's the same concept with the police. It's just that you got a badge and a gun on. So what's the difference if your man robbed or shot somebody or walked up into your neighborhood and did something? You ain't gonna say all those kids is good, or all those kids is bad. You don't know he did it. But in the flip side, what I do for a living is like all of them are bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know something though? One of the mistakes that I think that police departments make in general, and this is just my opinion. I'm not law enforcement, obviously, is that I think that they try to take this quick fix approach to community relations by saying we need to hire more blacks and Latinos and put them in that neighborhood. And I think I get it, but that's to me like if it's a systemic issue, you could put somebody Asian, you could put black, whatever, you could put whoever it is. If there's a systemic issue, the race doesn't determine the effectiveness of the policing.
You're right. It's a small term fix or a long term thing. But you have to start somewhere, and whatever level that they want to start at, or just in anything, it's like you hire a guy, your business keeps getting robbed by the same guy. You hire one, you keep getting robbed. You got to find ways to fix it. You know what I'm saying? Or your apartment keep getting burglarized. You put one lock, that doesn't work. You're gonna keep altering it. You're not gonna move. You're just gonna find better ways to protect yourself. So it's the same concept with law enforcement. You're adjusting based on what's happening. There's too many officers across the board to police just one or a group or a few. You just got to start refining it within. And how do you do that? You find better qualified candidates to adjust that. And again, you can't police everybody. You're not going to change anything. But if you start somewhere, and that's just this, it's a long-term fix. Anything is a long-term fix. You go into business long-term. You want your profit is a long-term. You invest into stock. It's a great stock, but it's a long-term gain, not a short-term.
And do you think that the police department is they open to that evolution, or saying like we have to continue to put in that work?
Yes, sir. It's happening now. It's happening right now. A lot of people do not see it, but it's happening now. I can tell you that. I can tell you that it's happening now. Because accountability is starting to show up.
That's what I was just about to say. I was going to say, like, is the change now out of necessity because of the backlash? Or is this something that was in people's mind before all of this stuff started happening? Because last year it was hot for the police department.
Mm-hmm. Because you know what? A lot of things necessarily don't happen here in New York, but it wavers over. And then you got to deal with it. You get associated. It's like, I didn't rob him. My friend did. It's association. So, that's just the way it works. And we got to, you got to adjust to it. And that's what has been happening, adjustments. It might sound like to people that are not within, but I can tell you that it's happening because I'm at the forefront of that change. And it's, little old me with my little old friends, but eventually somebody's going to get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how come what you're doing, and I don't know if it is this should be a national policing model that they should have more officers that go out and actually do these type of different outreach and engagement in the community.
Because in the beginning, before we started this recording, I said it comes from passion, it comes from love, and then you get a small few, and then you get others. So it's hard. It's like they say, teaching an old dog new tricks. So it has to be altered in a small portion to affect the masses, and that's what I believe. That's what's happening. There's a lot of internal stuff that happens within law enforcement that a lot of people do not see, and that's the problem. And then it looks corny because it looked like it's being pushed out now based on everything that's happening. It's always been there. It just wasn't pushed heavily the way that it should have been pushed from jump. Because not a lot of people like change. You know that? Yeah.
And then probably now it's at the forefront for public relations purposes. So now the muscle people get behind it and they want it out there.
But the good thing about me is that it's not make believe. I was always here because
Mm-hmm.
I'm a product of everything that's happening, that was happening. So, I'm trying to alter it a little bit. So I go out to these speaking engagements. I'm having these different Zoom chats speaking about what's going on and the different things that we're doing. So I'm all about change, and it's all about not reinventing the wheel, but just inventing things that can continue to be a difference and be an influence.
Mm-hmm. Right.
What would you say is the main contrast in comparison of uh how people interacted with police from the 80s, 90s, and right now into the 2000s?
I'm born in '79, so I just see it to be on my side and what I do. It's more thought provoking conversations at random. People
Mm,
stopping you, they talking to you, they engaging, they praising you for the work you do, and it's not based on race or anything like that. They genuinely see what you do, and they support you, and they
mm.
love what you do. So when a kid, stops and says hi or give you the thumbs up, that's the highlight reel for me. I think that's the most beautiful part about it.
Yeah, what's always been funny to me? How people are critical of law enforcement till they have to call law enforcement. Have you noticed that?
Of course, you hear it. You hear it. Listen, all my encounters with police were bad since I was a kid, and I just so happened to become a cop because I wanted to be part of change. I got stories for days, growing up in the South Bronx. So not every encounter was not none of the encounters was good, but look, I'm part of change.
Mm-hmm.
It's like sitting home saying there's no jobs. Like sitting home saying why don't black people get together, open up businesses. Nope. But guess what? They'll go to Instagram and count how many likes they got, but nobody
Mm.
cares about. You know what I'm saying? But they'll worry about the likes and complain about this one and that one. But it's like, all right, imagine you got 1,000 likes or 50,000 likes. Imagine you got $1 from every one of them to help you start a business, and they all became partners, or y'all all got together and came up with an idea, and y'all all became partners. But nobody want to do that.
Well, you know why nobody wants to do that? Because it's easier to Monday morning quarterback and critique people than to actually do actionable things. Like some people are really good at being judgmental and telling other people what they should do, and there are other people who just they act
Right.
and they're about tangible things.
Exactly. So that it's I always say that it's always easy to point the finger at something bigger because it's easy to attack that. But nobody's
Mm-hmm.
worrying about that little bee. They want to go and what's up in that hive? I bet you there's more bees up in there. Meanwhile, it's the little one on the floor that killed everybody.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you said that, and I tell people that also. I think just as people, we've been conditioned to think about individual versus industry or individual versus whatever the larger entity is. And naturally, people are going to root for the little guy. So it's a lot easier to kind of take the position of the little guy over the industry. And sometimes it can be, like you said, in fact, sometimes, and I'm not even applying this to law enforcement, I'm just talking in general.
Right, right.
Sometimes it can be the little guy who stirred the pot and done all these things, but people are always going to say, well, you're the industry, you're the big entity. You can afford to absorb whatever the blow is rather than the little guy. And I think that
Absolutely.
if we shifted that mind state, then that would lead to everybody having to be accountable for their actions.
Absolutely.
And frankly, I don't know if people are ready for that. I think a lot of people are it's just very easy to kind of point the finger. Matter of fact, we were talking, I think maybe it was like a couple of weeks ago, we was talking about P. Diddy and Black Rob, and we were talking about how people felt that P. Diddy should have been doing more for Black Rob and everything that's going on. And I was saying, like, why do we automatically assume that P. Diddy wasn't doing stuff for Black Rob? You know why? Because we view P. Diddy as a billionaire with all these resources, and we looked at Black Rob as being somebody who was in a difficult position. So we automatically say, how come the person with all the resources is not doing for the person who doesn't have the resources? We just make that assumption, not knowing if he was or not.
It's like my mentor, he's well off, but his money is not my money. My struggle
Mm-hmm.
is not his struggle, but he took on the responsibility of some of the things that I was dealing with to help me out. So you can't look at him, man, he's a white guy with a lot of money. Why don't he do this? Why don't he do that? But it's like, nah, he always said, you always knew what you wanted. I was just an option in your life. So people have to show their willingness to change before somebody's just going to jump in and lay out the red carpet all the time. That's just not how it goes.
Yeah,
It's,
and
it's
you know what he was doing? He was teaching you how to fish for yourself.
oh, absolutely, absolutely, and I got that. I got that. Yeah, yeah. I know that's exactly what he was doing. Yeah.
Mhm.
hmm Yeah, man.
We all,
You
we all.
guys. Yeah.
No, what?
No, no. I just appreciate you guys. You know what I'm saying? Especially, and for doing what he's doing, and just having a podcast. So I was so excited about even doing it.
Yeah,
I just wanted to say. I just wanted to say that.
thank you, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
man. Now from the outside looking in, it's a lot of
Yes, sir.
various stuff that goes on with police and them, interacting with people out there in the community. 365 days a year. Police officers don't even know if they're gonna even make it home. Highly stressful, etc. Now, throughout the 365 days, what do you feel is the most stressful two holidays that you have to go through within them 365 days? Is it New
Honestly,
Year's?
I
Is
don't.
it
No, nah. Just when New Year's, 'cause it's cold. That's it. For me,
yeah?
it's just cold. It's cold in Times Square.
Mhm.
You know what's so funny? I don't get bent out of shape with this, man. I've been
Mhm.
called all kind of names, and my feelings are detached from the negative. Of course, it bothers you because under your skin. As long as you know who you are, but that comes from within confidence. So there's no training
Mhm.
class for that. You already got to come set like that. It's like a man. You know what I'm saying? You could have a baby. You could be a father because you produce a child, but can you really be a father? You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So it's like nobody can't make you want to do that. You gotta. That's one more thing. That's natural. It's like when them animals and lions and all that. Or when a bird lays
Mhm.
his egg, you go back and go get the food, come sit on his eggs, and he protects it. Nobody can't make you want to do that. You gotta. That's natural, man.
Yeah, I mean, it must take a lot of being able to not personalize stuff to be a police officer. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. But you know what? Is a lot of it comes from your environment. It preps you for that. So the blessing is my product of my environment. Now,
Tough
if you
skin.
came, yeah, if you came from somewhere else, you know what I'm saying? Somebody step in your shoes, or you might cry, or you might, get all emotional. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? But nah, that don't bother me, bro. I'm
Yeah.
just different, man. I'm just different, and I guess that's why sometimes at work it comes with the hate.
Mm. Well, tell us about this podcast that you're working on, man.
So pretty much, it's more so about having a youth run it. It's about having youth interview the guests. I want it to be spread out where I interview and talk to different people in the community. Because the first step of change is understanding the conversations that are happening in the community. You think just because you're a police officer or you come from a particular neighborhood, you don't have all the answers. It has to start from changing within. And how that happens is when you have thought-provoking conversations. And what better way, over a podcast, sitting at a table, having open dialogue. It's like a community meeting, but you're having a microphone and having a live audience.
Hmm. Well, look, if there's anything that we could do, or if I could do, you know how to reach me, man. I'm more than
Yes, sir.
willing to extend, to extend myself and put myself out there, because I know there are many kids that grew up in the same environment that we did that need to be able to see, that there are other options to make it out of the hood. Even if
Yeah.
you don't rap or you don't play ball, there are other things that you could do with your
Exactly.
life.
Yeah, rap was only a tool, but I was good at communicating. I was good at facilitating. I was good at networking. So I put myself out there. I'm a product of my environment. I'm a product of an example of what change looks like. So,
Mhm.
anybody out there that want to be a part of change, if anything, let me be the first step in being that change. Or, they can go look at the YouTube video under my same name, Javarro Hall.
Hmm.
You can see all the videos, the Apollos, a lot of stuff that I've done with the PAL performing at Giant Stadium, Yankee Stadium, the Christmas tree light. So I'm still doing things, and it's not always rapping. It's just again always being in a position of being in the limelight. So what's for you is for you, and that's how it is.
Yeah, that's dope. Desi.
Hey, I tell you what, I want you to hit
What's up?
spit one of your favorite 16s, man. You got a 16 for us tonight, bro?
Hopscotch, double spaces, milk crates and dice decided your life. Home of blessings and blessings, role models where it was the neighbor. Do me a favor because your stomach growl. Lemonade made from scratch. Kool-Aid with a lot of sugar. Candles with no lights. The horses where we have fights. Bad habits easy to pick up. Confrontations, they gave us hiccups. Watch your back because the bully lurks. Every day saying your prayers. Some days you miss a church. French breaks, says playing on repeat to the favorite church. Bebop's rap, peak, acapella, faith fella. Divas was better than Reebok. Favor over pay less because nights was more stress.
Yo, you know
Hey, I
what?
tell you what. Hey, Shy, I tell you what. He was ready for that question.
Now,
That came immediately. Them bars came immediately.
Yo, Z, let me tell you. He stayed ready as a kid. He stayed ready. Like the dude just loved music. He was always
Good
in
stuff. Good stuff too, man. I heard them lyrics.
But the rap told you the story. You know, lemonade, Kool-Aid with no sugar, candles with no lights, the ball courts is what we had. All of that was on 1215 Union Avenue. So that's the story. You know, Kool-Aid without sugar. It was the neighbor. Do me a favor. It was knocking on Genesis door. Or the neighbor. Yo, we need bread for peanut butter and jelly. Or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's in the story, man. Everything is in the story. That's all. That's from 1215. So a lot of the raps come from that block.
Yeah.
Because it's true.
Yeah.
We're working on something now. I'm starting it off and they singing. It was like a heart, like you breaking up with your girl, and I came up with this Destiny's falling in line. I'm trying, please, what I believe, second chances. We both played but different beats. And then it goes in. I had more, but it was like that. Destiny's falling in line. I'm trying, please, what I believe in second chances.
Yeah. Yo, man, I think it's dope. I think it's dope that you're doing what you're doing. It's dope that you're working with the kids. I think that you should probably retire when you get your 20 years, brother, and find something else to do in another sector that gives you an opportunity to fully work on your entertainment skills and talent. And work. To me, that seems to be your passion. Like watching you grow up, I knew it was always about entertainment, and now I see everything that you're doing with the youth and the community. If you can merge that together, man, that'd be a good
thing. I had
somebody
somebody actually tell me that. It's like, yeah, I see what you're doing. And it was a higher ranking person. And it's like, I see what you're doing. And he said, you're lining yourself up for later. He said, because you're doing amazing work. And you could just appreciate that. Another rap that I wrote it's about being a police officer. Long shifts, complaints with a long list. It's proven my presence deters crime. In the meantime, I'm human. The cold nights you sleep is the oath I keep. Danger is what we face. Back up over the radio. I'm in the chase. Tunnel vision. No description given. Pressure on our shoulders to interact. In fact, the lack of trust between us. Times change. I see hope in your range. Big brother to that unknown kid. Stay true, dream big. Look what I did. If you understand my position, I'm keeping the peace, shipping disbelief. Since a kid, I envision on being police, shooting hoops with the kids, giving a scoop, breaking the cycle. I'm just like you. Motivation is good, success is key, but it starts with you and me.
All right.
Dropping gems right there, brother, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate y'all, man. Anytime when we start doing more stuff, we working on some stuff soon. We got it booked for Met Stadium. We're doing some stuff at Statue of Liberty. That's coming up next month. So we're talking, man.
Yeah, and like I said, man, if there's anything that I could do, if anything we could do with the podcast to help support what you got going on, just holler at me, bro.
Yeah. I'm gonna definitely come back and bring some other people that's doing some stuff just like me,
That's what's up.
All right.
Yeah,
we can do a follow-up podcast. I appreciate y'all, man.
Appreciate you.
All right, y'all.